Europeans, guided by their belief in manifest destiny, carved up most of North, Central, and South America. Seeking treasures wherever they went, they either exterminated or assimilated the local population. As a young child growing up in Brazil, I always wondered where the Indians had gone to. I learned that the tribes who were fortunate found themselves in reservations of difficult access, where they were able to hold together the last remnants of their culture. In Brazil, April 19th is a national holiday celebrating the native Brazilian culture and heritage. Every year on this day, thousands of school children observe a glimpse of what the Europeans must have seen when they first landed in Brazil. With dwindling numbers, native Brazilians now live scattered in reservations. It is very unlikely that future generations of children will be able to enjoy even this type of display. My name is Michael Engel. Come with me as we explore one of these pools of cultures, the Xingu National Park, a nation within a nation in Brazil. To visit the interior of Brazil, where the culture is still intact, has always been a dream of mine. We begin our journey by traveling over 1,000 miles into the heart of Brazil. Surrounded by the lower Amazon basin, we'll find the Xingu National Park. The park was created in 1961 and has over 9,000 square miles. That's more than 1,000 square miles bigger than New Jersey for a population of only 4,000 native Brazilians. The culture here promotes the use of resources without destroying them. For example, the canoe, which is made from the bark of a tree called the jatobá. The canoe is created without killing the tree. In my opinion, an area of the world where people have learned to live in harmony with their environment and walk around naked all day can only be called the land of no shame. I can only imagine what it must be like to be brought up here, surrounded by the jungle and constantly exposed to ceremonial rituals so different from my own. My best friend in the Xingu was Arautara. He's the son of the shaman Sapain. We became such good friends that when I came back to Rio, he decided to come with me in order to translate the footage. He really liked flying on a hang glider. When we were back in the Xingu, Arautara filmed some of the best shots in the documentary.
Aí quando chegar no Rio vai falar, ó, minha família, Sapain, esposa, filha, e outra aqui tá em pé, aqui o Natarré. Ali na rede Álvaro e o Camal, sobrinho. Agora vai abastecer, tanque.
Children create simple games here and make use of anything they can get their hands on as a new plaything. The basic rule here is that children take care of the younger ones. Because of all the different chores that the adults have to attend to, life here would be impossible without the cooperation of their children. For boys and girls, initiation into adulthood can be very demanding. When Xingu girls get their first menstruation, they're put into seclusion from the rest of the tribe. The only time anyone is allowed to see them is during religious ceremonies such as this one. The fairness of their skin is a good indication of how long they've been in seclusion. As soon as the chanting stops, the girls converge in the corner of the house and are not allowed to talk to anyone except each other. woman dancing behind the shamans is the grandmother of one of the girls. This is a very special moment, and her whole family is very happy that the young girl will soon be married. In appreciation for the cleansing services of the shamans, the men next to me give their howl of appreciation. This is the entrance to Chief Tabata's house, his daughter soon to be married. As the father, he's in charge of cutting her hair. The length of it is an indication of how long she's been in seclusion. The wedding becomes official when she receives the flower of the piki tree. At this point, she could reject the offer, but that's unlikely since the weddings here are arranged by her family. We are now inside the house of her new husband. His whole family lives here. This young girl ties her knees and ankles in order to cause them to swell. A skinny person is not considered attractive here because it is seen as a sign of weakness. Another method used to make the body swell is scarring. Scarring is done by lacerating the skin with the teeth of the dogfish, embedded on a gourd. I was born a very curious person, and I couldn't stop wondering what it felt like to be scarred. Once the blood vessels on the skin are open, they apply a plant that contains a natural steroid solution. Once this plant was put on my arm, it started to burn as if on fire. The fact that I did the scarring must have been important for them, because right after that I was given a tribal name and adopted by this man. The children of this tribe are afraid of the macaw. The macaw considers itself a child also, and so is very jealous of the other children. This kind and gentle man is Sarirua. He's the father of Chief Aritana, and when he was younger, he was the chief of the tribe.
Já vai, Ana? Ai, então tchau. Tchau, 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 tchau. Ele pediu tchau.
Many animals have been introduced into the Xingu. Some of them have not quite been accepted by the local wildlife. For lack of an alternative, the children of the Xingu make toys out of the little animals that they find in the forest, like this armadillo. Stories are told to children so they should know where they can and cannot poke their hands. The passing of time acquires a different rhythm in the Xingu, and the natives measure time by natural phenomena such as the rainy season or the behavior of the local wildlife. This is the season for the Tracajá turtles to lay their eggs. The eggs are very difficult to find. After looking for an hour, I couldn't find a single nest. I had a hard time eating these eggs. They were mostly yolk, and I couldn't stop thinking about the little unhatched turtles.
Esse aqui não come, esse castanho é esse aqui, que a gente come.
Tirado.
Gostoso, melhor, vitamina, vai força. Tudo que a gente come, vai força. Mulher pode comer também, menino.
The main diet in the Xingu is made up of the wild cassava. The men do the planting and later the women harvest.
É você que planta tudo, Aritana?
Eu planto.
O chefe, né, da tribo.
Pois é da tribo, mas ele tem roça particular, né?
Uhum.
cassava is ground to a pulp using the fibers of a palm tree. In the legend of the cassava, the virgin daughter of a chief became mysteriously pregnant. By the law of that tribe, she would have been sacrificed, but the vision of a shaman spoke against it. The child was born as white as the cassava, and to the astonishment of the tribe began to speak. His name was Mani. Sadly, within a year, Mani had passed away, and from within his burial ground a prolific plant emerged. The natives of the tribe call the roots of the plant Manioca, or House of Mani. It is the staple diet in the Xingu, and in Brazil it feeds millions of people. This wild species of cassava is highly poisonous. The poison is strong enough to kill a full-grown cow. The dangerous poison on this species of cassava can only be neutralized by ultraviolet radiation. So once the cassava is handled, it is placed in the sun. Treated in this manner, the cassava can be stored for many months during the rainy season. When necessary, the treated manioc is placed on a round pottery and heated. The heat and the humidity will make it bond to form a type of bread called bijou. The women are the only ones in the tribe with permission and know-how to make bijou. For a whole month, I had bijou for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Unless you're just snacking on bijou, it is customary to create a serving for everyone. Another plant that plays an important role here is tobacco, and it is often smoked with other plants. As the night approaches, the shamans gather to smoke their special cigars. They swallow the smoke and let it accumulate in their stomach. Eventually, the smoke in their stomach will make them faint. The reason they do this is to get in touch with the spirits of the forest. My adopted father, Nanuji.
Então essa aí para que amanhã, e antes de botar a rede na água, aí faz esse aí, essa fogueira em volta do outro, né, num primo. Para não acontecer amanhã que a raia não picar, o jacaré não atacar, qualquer piranha, assim, qualquer peixe não atacar amanhã. Então por isso tem que passar essa fogueira em volta todo mundo. Você viu hoje.
The fire ceremony is performed only among cousins. My new adopted father is the uncle of Chief Aritana, and so it stood to reason that we were told by the elders to protect one another. Me and my cousin, Chief Aritana. For an additional spiritual protection from the animals and to increase their harmony with the magical powers of the forest, the adults paint themselves with the oils of local plants such as the piqui, urucum, and the jenipapo. Cousins, brothers, and fathers take their time during the painting ceremony. It is a moment of reverence. This child decided that it was time for him to get painted, so he asked his father to initiate him. This singing and dancing is in preparation for the Quarup. The Quarup is an annual gathering honoring the spirits of the dead.
Catapora até me pegou. Foi em janeiro, morreu um nosso tio aqui, mais velho, morreu. Também, criança também já morreu, eu conheço. Então esse negócio ruim aqui. E também Coqueluche. E esse que vocês viram, homenagem, Quarup grande no Cuicuro, foi homenagem do filho do chefe. Foi morto pelo Coqueluche também. Irmãozinho pequeno, depois de uma semana, irmãozinho dele morreu pelo meningite. Morreu. Então, por aqui, então precisa, aqui no Xingu precisa mais assim, melhoramento à saúde aqui. É muito mais prioridade. Primeiro saúde, depois educação.
After the singing over the burial ground, another important step in creating the Quarup celebration is gathering enough food to serve for all the guests. The whole tribe now goes where there's more fish to catch. In order to catch enough fish for the guests of the Quarup, we now delve deep into the forests, searching for all the components for building a fishing net. This is the Envira vine, and it'll serve as the backbone for the fishing net. This man here is my adopted father. His son died last year.
Filho morreu, filho de chefe, né? Quem que começou, o pai vai enterrar. Então, esse que trabalha até Cabaquaru, como que seu papai, o Nanaki, tá, ele é o pressão do pessoal, né? Não pode dar preguiça, faz trabalho mesmo.
The separate parts of the net will now be tied together by using the vines of another tree. A very dense and heavy wood called chumbó will now be cut into segments and then tied to the bottom of the net so it will drag the bottom of the lake. Sapain and Sariruá are the two most powerful shamans of this tribe. They now bless the net with piqui soup and bits of manioc. Everyone involved in carrying the net into the water is handed a stick to carry. This will help to protect them from the poisonous rays that live at the bottom of the river. This type of fishing is only possible during the dry season, when the rivers of the Amazon subside and small lakes become abundant. The net is then stretched across the lake and dragged in order to concentrate the fish on one side of the lake. As the day comes to an end and the net has been dragged as far as it can go, the shamans gather to pay their respects to the spirits of the lake. After they're done smoking, they storm into the water, and because they're the shamans of this tribe, they're impervious to the poisonous rays lurking in the water.
É veneno, né? É veneno. É mata peixe pequeno, muito, muito.
The poison in the tuna vine is removed by soaking on the vine and immersing it into the water. The natural caustic substance in the tuna vine is not poisonous enough to kill the bigger fish, so it's often necessary to crack its head with a firm bite. This is extremely important with piranhas. Tuna vine makes the oxygen in the water unattainable for the fish. They rise to the surface and are quickly collected. The poison is completely biodegradable. After the fish are collected, they're gutted and smoked. This preserves them for the trip back home. A crocodile got stuck on the net, and Arautarás' uncle killed it. As they had no further use for the carcass, I was allowed to skin it. The next morning, we hauled our catch into the boats. With my uncle at the wheel, we began our trip back to the Yalapichi tribe. The contrast of the diesel engines thundering through the morning haze.
A meia-noite anda proibido. Tudo assassino, pega lá. Ei, calapalo.
As the river widened, the boat ran into a sandbar and the propeller crankshaft came loose. We began to sink. Luckily, my adopted father is a good mechanic, and with a little improvisation, we were once again flowing down the river. Once we got back, messengers were sent to the neighboring tribes, inviting them to the Kwarup celebration. As the Yalapichi messengers arrive, they're led by the hand to the center of the Kamayura tribe. They're put on display for the whole tribe to see. They must sit humbly and wait for an audience with the chief of the Kamayura. Takuma is the chief of the Kamayura, and as he gets closer to the messengers, he signals his acceptance to the invitation. Each one of these 3 logs represents a member of the tribe that passed away the previous year. One of them is in honor of my adopted brother, Kayanuma. If the soul of a recently deceased wants, it can reincarnate by using one of these logs. Women are the natural bearers of life and are not allowed near at this time because that could confuse the spirits. Family members now adorn the logs. The careful ritual is designed to make the logs more attractive to the spirits. Even a triangular face is carved in one of the sides. The white paint is made from tabachinga, which is a white clay. The black is genipapo fruit and the red is urucum seed. Now that the logs are fully painted, they're removed from the outskirts and brought into the inner circle of the tribe. The logs are now placed next to the burial site. All the tribes of the Xingu are built in a circle. The houses are always located on the outer perimeter. Every member of the tribe that dies is buried within this circle. The influence of these spirits remains concentrated inside this area. Now that the men are done invoking the spirits of the dead, the rest of the tribe is also invited to plead for their return. The amount of anguish displayed is an indication of how important the deceased person was. The patriarchs of the deceased are brought to the house of the sacred flutes at the center of the tribe. They will now be groomed in order to lead the Kwarup. The wife of Chief Aritana's uncle is also brought out and groomed. She will now give her last tribute to her husband. Once a tribal member is honored in the Kwarup celebration, his name will never be mentioned again by his family. At night, 3 pyres are lit. The visiting tribes will ceremoniously come during the night and steal the fire. The pyres need to be constantly relit, since every visiting tribe will want to tease their hosts. As a tribute to the logs, everyone struggles to remain awake during the night. As daylight breaks, my friend Arautará, painted in the circles, is bracing himself for the challenging contests which authenticate this Quarup. Hundreds of guests now move into the inner circle of the tribe. Tacumã, the chief of the Kamayurá, arrives with his entourage. His immediate family is escorted by the hand to a position of honor. The chief of the Meinaku arrives bringing his daughter and his entourage. The chief of the Kalapalo arrives with his son, who is ready to participate in the fights of the Huka Huka. Meanwhile, the patriarchs from the family of the deceased organize the final details of the celebration. When the members of the Kuikuru tribe arrive, they join with the warriors of the Yalapichi tribe. A ceremonial singing and dancing will unite their strength. The young warriors from the tribe hosting the Quarup are challenged by all of the tribes that come to the celebration. Because of their strong family bonds with the Yalapichi, the Kuikuru tribe will lend a hand, fending off the challenges imposed by the other tribes. Summoned by the masters of the celebration, the young warriors are chosen to defend the honor of their tribe. Arautará told me that this is the scariest moment in a young man's life. He endured scarring, reclusion, and endless training in order to be ready to defend the honor of his tribe. Arautarás' first duel ended in a stalemate. As the fighting progresses, the hosting tribe will become weaker from the number of challengers they've had to face. The Indians of the Xingu are the remnants of the great Tupi-Guarani tribe, the largest tribe of Brazil in the 1500s. This violent demonstration was actually created by the elders of the Xingu as a means of ending intertribal war, therefore preserving the life, culture, and brotherhood of these tribes. The Xingu National Park is a 9,000 square mile oasis and the last refuge of this wonderful and endangered civilization.